This episode is brought to you by AWS. Amazon Q Business is the generative AI assistant that can securely understand your business data, summarize results, and streamline tasks. Learn what Amazon Q Business can do for you at aws.com/learn more.
Hey, Atlanta, Apple is open for small business. That's right. We're here to make starting and running your business simpler. With privacy and security built in on all devices, it's easy for you to protect your customers' data. And if you need hardware or software support, you'll get advice from business experts at no cost whatsoever. So you can focus more on the soup du jour and less on, the other stuff. At Apple, we're open for your small business. Go to apple.com/small business or visit an Apple store to learn more.
Hey, I'm Amanda from Trifecta Fitness. We're proud to be Clarksville's new Get Fit headquarters. Trifecta Fitness is a state-of-the-art spin and strength training studio. Our spin studio is truly one of a kind in this area, complete with 20 state-of-the-art live fitness bikes and an incredible sound system. Our strength training is done in small groups of 6 or fewer, and all of our strength and spin classes are scalable for every level of experience. Come see us in the heart of Clarksville, just behind MAPCO at the corner of Old Trenton Road and Wilma Rudolph Boulevard. Call us for more info at 931-542-6265 or download our Trifecta Fitness app for a full list of upcoming classes.
MisFitNation. We are a show founded by veterans and hosted by 2 veterans and a military spouse. Our mission is to get people to tell their story to the world. If you're an author, share your tips with the MisFitNation. If you're a musician or actor, our audience needs to know how they too can get into the business. Coaches, we love our coaches. Come on, share some of your tips with the MisFitNation to help them become better versions of themselves. If you are a corporate leader or entrepreneur, come on and share how you did it and how hard you have fought for success. If you are a veteran, first responder, or star family, we would love to have you come on and just share your story with the MisFitNation. We always have time for you. If you're feeling down, alone, or starting to see the darkness, stop. Think about those who are around you. You are not alone. You will be missed. If you feel like your problems will be a burden to those in your inner circle or are embarrassed, dial 988. If you are a veteran, take option 1. We need you to keep pushing forward. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you're a new listener, welcome to the MisFitNation. Be sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast apps and also on our YouTube channel at _MisFitNation. Subscribe, click the bell to keep you up to date with our latest episodes and all of our news. You can also find us on Electrocast Media and About Face Radio. This will keep you tuned in to us and learn about our great guests. Speaking of which, our next guest has been featured on Fox, CBS, and NBC, along with being named one of the top business coaches in America for 2 consecutive years in the New York City Journal and Disruptors magazine. He is known for helping realtors and small business owners to unlock their pathway to success through creating accelerating systems of habits and total mindset alignment. So without further ado, let's welcome Joey Drolshagen to the MisFitNation. Welcome, Joey. How you doing?
Oh, it's great. I'm doing great, and it's great to be here with you today.
That's awesome to have you. In the pre-show, we were talking about you doing some hang gliding and how that misfit feels in the world, and then that's awesome just to get out and do that and have the ability to do that in the world we live in today, and especially the place where you're doing. It's a beautiful area and outside of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So it's great to have you here.
Absolutely. And like I said, Rich, it's great to be here with you. Thank you for your service. Thank you, everybody, for the service, whether we're talking ahead of time, whether you're military, whether you're healthcare, whether you're a teacher, what you do matters to so many lives. And so often we don't get to see that ripple effect of that. But, man, it just gives me goosebumps just to think about that. So to have this conversation, and the perfect name, I love the name of your podcast, MisFitNation.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Joey, I gave basically a 2-sentence blurb about you there from your bio. If you want to, please go back as far back as you want to go to how we got to the mindset we are today.
Yeah, absolutely, Rich. And I started out like in a very low income blue collar family up in Detroit, Michigan. Well, both my parents worked at blue collar, and they worked exhaustive hours and stuff. And there was struggle my entire youth growing up. And I remember at 9 years old thinking, man, when I get to be an adult, I'm not living like you people live. I didn't know what they did wrong, but I had been to a friend's house and it didn't have that same energy. It didn't have that same heaviness about it. So I ended up going into my adult years, and I ended up carrying out those same habits. And I would struggle financially regardless of my income. I was working, I had a business, doing whatever I did, and I would still struggle financially. And young 20s, I had this realization that if something happened and it came along and it was easy for me, I didn't feel like I earned it. And so I started moving into that. I became a student of the works I do today at 22 years old. And growing up, like I said, in blue collar family, I was conditioned that a man gets a job and supports a family and hopefully lives long enough to enjoy some years in retirement. And so I bought into the automotive, with being in Detroit, and I built a career. And each step I took, I went all the way up to a vice president of sales, building large territories, working with great sales teams, working with terrible sales teams, and then later on, I specialized in helping companies, mainly foundries that were in bankruptcy, get back into profitability. And that really took a toll on my life in doing that over a matter of almost a decade, helping organizations. But I learned a lot also. And at some point in my life, I was in my mid 40s, and I was like, man, I cannot do this anymore. I don't want to live like this. And I had been a student of the works I do today, but I couldn't figure out how to make that final shift come in. I knew my thinking was skewed and not right. I knew the results I was getting was based on my thinking, but I couldn't bring it all together. And I was a student of things like The Secret and a lot of the greats. Wallace Waddles, Bob Proctor, a lot of those people, Wayne Dyer, a lot of those people, but I could never really pull it together. And then I read a book by Joseph Murphy called The Unconscious Mind, or The Subconscious Mind. And when I read that and understood that we can only ever go as far as our conditioning will allow us to go, we have a conscious mind, is what we're focused on. We have a subconscious mind that absorbs it. And then within that subconscious, there's this motherboard that holds all of our programming, our patterns, our paradigms, and all that. And that's the voice we hear in our head. That's the one that keeps playing back over and over. So once I understood that, I could put a plan in place to identify what that thinking was and then shift that around and bring about change. And in doing so, within a month and a half of understanding that, I created what's, IFGT, coaching consulting. And the IFGT stands for It's Freaking Go Time. And that's my mother organization over everything else I do. And it helped me. And then within a month after that, I resigned from corporate America. I moved down here to the mountains of South Carolina, and I've been helping business owners, entrepreneurs, realtors, people in personal development. I've worked with people when they come out of the military and help them get into that alignment of what do they want to experience going forward. There's so much tragedy experienced in so many of those situations. How do you pick up those pieces and move forward? And I always start helping them build what I call a dynamic vision for what it is they still want to experience ahead of them. I do the same thing in businesses, the same thing in my own life. And what it does is it starts sparking those ideas of what we can do. Then we bump up against our conditioning that tells us to stop, why we can't do it. And once we understood that, we shift that and open up that avenue. Does that make sense, Rich?
Yes, it does. And I love the IFGT. It's freaking go time. That's amazing. And I know when you get a client and you tell them that's what it stands for, if they don't know already, that's got to get them a little pumped inside, or it'll scare some away because they don't want to really go right now. They're just like treading the water. But like you said, many veterans, when they get out, they need that vision again. They know what they had to do every day for X amount of years, no matter how many years you serve. You know what you're doing every single day. You have a purpose that day. You get out, you hang up them boots, you hang up your sea bag, whatever, and you don't know exactly what your next step is unless you've been planning the whole time. Which you should, because as soon as you sign up, you know there's an end date. There has to be an end. At some point, you're leaving either on your feet or on your back. You're leaving. But you have to know it in that vision. When you set that vision for them, you have to be that motivator at that point for them. And some of them just need that kick in the butt. And when it's freaking go time, they need a guy like you to motivate them. How do you get them going?
And one of the things I do is I work off of 2 points of reference. So I'll just say what I do in coaching and consulting, it's different than your standard typical coaching or consulting. I don't have a A, B, and C plan that somebody followed to get to D. I have a process that opens up that transformation, and it's unique to each person that applies it. Just like it was unique for me. So once we open it up, again, whether it's a company that was in bankruptcy, whether it's a company that wants to grow, whether it's somebody who's come out of the military and there's so much structure built into that. I've even utilized it with people who have returned sentences in prison and jail over and over again. And they come out and part of them wants to break that cycle, but it becomes like the addiction to living in that cycle of that process. And now I'm starting to apply it even to, like, I've always played hockey, coached hockey, but now I'm even starting to apply it to athletes and helping, it's not always the guy that's the top performer, that's the best player on the team. It's the one with the right mindset that ends up producing the best results. And it's the same thing across the board. So I help them. I have a road mapping plan to help develop that vision. And once you have the vision, it's almost like you have the end point of what it is you want to create. And we just put the focus on there. As we do that, we bump up against the pattern and the paradigms that are holding us back so that we can repattern and release those and put new patterning in place of it, put new empowering beliefs in place of that to move forward. So I don't know if you're familiar at all with, oh my God, I can't think of her name. Marianne Williamson.
No, I've not heard.
Okay, so she does a lot of spiritual things and stuff like that, but she has a quote that I absolutely love, Rich. Is she says, being powerless is not our big fear. Our real fear is how powerful we really are. And once I can spark that vision and help somebody spark that vision, it doesn't matter where they're at. The 2 points of reference are where exactly are you right now? And then I help them develop where you want to be. And from those 2 points, we can literally launch into that vision. And I tell you this, knowing in my own life, knowing I've worked with almost 1,000 clients over the past decade, and the results that have been achieved allow me to do money back guarantees on any coaching I do with people and such. So that's how confident I am in the producing results quickly.
That's outstanding. And that's a great quote too, because we people may think they used all their power as they get to point B, or they go from A to B, they lost we're done. I have all the powers out of me, but that's just what you've used. You still store energy in you, and you have the power to keep moving forward. And you don't have to stay where you are. You don't have to run into that wall. Like when you're in corporate America, they want you to run into that wall or hit that ceiling, and stay there as long as possible. So they have the grasp on you, and they keep making money up here while you're down here looking, hey, let me up. No, you're at that wall and ceiling. That's where you got to be. You got to find your power, find that passion, find it, like you said earlier, vision, and go forward.
Yes. And like I love Stallone. I grew up with all the Rocky movies and everything. But in the last one, when he said, it's not how many punches we can give. It's how many punches we can take and keep moving forward. And what I love about MisFitNation is, people so often were conditioned to live practical lives.
Right.
I get a job, I go to work, I come home, I eat dinner, I go to bed, and I get up the next day and do it again and again and again and again. But living realistically isn't like that's fitting in. That's fitting into the conditioning and caving in. It's when we get outside and live unrealistic where we really start to achieve things. And if you look at the greatest military or any leaders that we've had that have had huge impact, they've done so in an unrealistic manner. They haven't followed realistic patterns and paradigms to achieve that. Does that make sense?
Definitely. And I've met a lot of leaders that taught me my way in the military that were not your, I guess, between the lines kind of leaders. And that kind of made me become that kind of misfit leader as I move forward. And I get this. I gave that same style to all the soldiers I had the honor of leading. And now they're all leaders. Though most of them who stayed in are leaders in the Army now, doing great things for God and country, doing the same thing by understanding the rules and regulations, but then understanding that you can go outside of that to make things happen and still be legal and do things the right way and get success no matter what you try to do.
Yes. And it's funny because lead multiple leadership workshops, weekend retreats. Even right now, I'm doing an 8-month leadership training for Coney County down here in South Carolina, and through the whole thing, it's understanding. You can't go to school and learn how to be a leader and then lead, because all you're doing is following somebody else's process. True, real leaders are those people that were under the gun and they just went with what they thought was the right thing, whether it was or not, that had those huge breakthrough impacts and stuff. That's what leadership is. And so helping people to tap into their confidence level and their abilities within inside, and then live in those and step in those. It's not realistic. It's looked at as a misfit. People who don't work where I grew up, people who don't work the 9 to 5 and do things like that, they're misfits. But they're the people who change the world. Definitely. So that's why I love the name of this podcast.
You look no further than General Petraeus, former CIA director. He still works probably 18 hours a day. Mm-hmm. He does not put it down. He does things for his organization where he's basically battle tracking Ukraine right now and giving updates on that every day. Every day he gives you an update on what's going on in Ukraine. He's not in suit no more, but it's what he's amazing at. He knows how to battle track. But he's also doing leadership stuff throughout the day for other organizations to help them. And then at midday, he does some other things, but he's always going. Colin Powell was the same way, great mind, and always trying to give back to others and show them there's better ways to do things. And that's what I always look for, is people to motivate me like that, who basically, they're at the top of the mountain, but now they're building the mountain higher to go higher. And that's what I want to do, keep building that mountain higher.
Very, very well said. Yes. And so often we confuse spinning our wheels for activity, for efforts and things like that. But really, there was a long time in my life, a lot of my clients I work with, they'll work 60, 70, 80 hours a week trying to build their business or trying to achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve and not going anywhere. And like now, when I was in corporate America, if I had to stay in the office beyond 5 o'clock at night, 2 nights in a row, Rich, man, I was pissed. I was burned out. I was tired. I was fatigued. I was this, I was that. Now that I'm doing what I love to do, there's times I'll do, like, this is evening. I've been working all day. I've been doing different things. There's times I'll go out in right next to this room is a studio, and I'll go out there at like 10 o'clock at night and start filming something and get done at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I can't go to sleep. I'm wide awake. And that's what happens when we tap into that misfit within us. It just ignites, and it, by taking activity, feeds us more energy versus that energy drain of doing what we can't stand doing.
Right. And just doing the same monotonous thing every day, because that's what like you said earlier, we watched our parents do it and they watched their parents do it, and so on and so on. That's what you have to do. You must do this. You must wake up at 4:30. You must do all these chores before you go to work for 8 hours, come home and reset and do it again, and just keep doing that cycle. That's why those generations weren't living very long, because they were killing themselves slowly inside.
And they certainly weren't living with much happiness.
Right.
And the other side of it is, like, one of the things, Bob Proctor was a personal mentor of mine. And one of the things he's taught me is, being successful people don't do certain things. It's not that they do A, B, C, D, E. It's that they do things a certain way.
Right.
And so when I work with for instance, I work with a lot of realtors, and some realtors love doing the social media and stuff like that. Others of them can't stand doing it, but we think we have to do all of these things in order to be successful. So have you ever seen somebody do a social media live and you can tell they can't stand doing it?
You can see they're uncomfortable. Yeah.
How attracted to that person, or how long do you watch that for?
I usually shut it right off.
And then do you ever see somebody doing social media and you can tell, man, they're in their glory. They love that camera. That brings them to life.
It's like they eat it up. Yeah, you can tell.
You watch that person longer, don't you? Yeah. And so what it is part of the thing of helping people develop systems of accelerating habits. I help people identify what is it that you want to achieve, and then what are the things that excite you to get you there. For me, doing filming over here, coaching, having conversations like this, man, it energizes me. So I do more of that, and I quit doing the things I think I have to do in order to be successful. I don't spend much time doing those things anymore. And when you can do that, all of a sudden it sparks somebody, And just like you said, Rich, when somebody gets on that pathway of that igniting their passion and living with excitement, they can do 10 times the work in 8 hours or 6 hours that somebody else can do in 20 hours.
Definitely, yeah. Oh, of course, because once you're happy to do something, it gets done a lot quicker, and then you wind up finding yourself doing something else the rest of the day to fill in those gaps and make yourself even more happiness as you go along the way. You reach down and find that grit and just keep going forward.
And impacting other people's lives with what we're doing with our lives and things like that. That's why I love talking to people like yourself who's got that energy, because I know you're doing what you love to do.
Yes, got the passion for it. And if I didn't have the passion for this, I would have quit after, like a lot of people quit after about 10 episodes.
Yes.
Hit that wall and I don't want to do this. It's so much work. I don't want to do this. Is it so much work, or you just don't like doing it? And that's the problem. You don't like doing it.
Is it not somebody else's bailiwick?
Right.
And I've talked and had these conversations with some people who it wasn't really, it's just somebody told them they had to do that in order to develop whatever else they were developing. And it wasn't a great conversation.
Right.
And that's what happens when we're in that other mode. We're not only draining our energy, but anybody around us that we're communicating or talking to or whatever we're doing, we're draining theirs as well.
Exactly. And even if when you were in corporate America, if you walked in the office and your coworkers were just in that, I guess the drone zone, just sitting there, cup of coffee, type, cup of coffee, his eyes getting red because they're in that dark cubicle or whatever, and that just brings you down too. You're like, oh my God, I don't want to be here today. I don't want to be here with all these other people that look like zombies now. I got to get out of here. I got to go do something.
And Wallace Wattles I love quoting Wallace Wattles. I just love his readings and study his information. But he has a quote I really enjoy. He says, thinking is the hardest work in the world. And that's why most people don't do it. And it's kind of, I get some humor in that. But if you think about that, what kind of a real thinking person would go to a job over and over and over and be stuck in a place where they don't want to be, or be taking massive, one of the things I'm against massive efforts, exhaustive actions. If you want something, you got to put everything else aside. I don't believe in that, nor I've proved that wrong with my life and the clients I've worked with. We don't have to sacrifice in order to have what we want. We just have to be willing to do things a certain way instead of doing certain things. So when I see somebody up against it, I get really excited because, people talk about different things and different, things where you get up at 4 a.m. and you do all this stuff and everything. And I had a client I started working with, and he said, I get up at 4 o'clock and I do this. He goes, by 9 o'clock, I've done more than most people do all day. And I go, wow, that's impressive. I get up at 6:30, sometimes 7. And I accomplished everything I want to accomplish in the day. With 2 weeks into working with him, he came back. He goes, I'm not doing it anymore in the morning. It's too much work. And in doing so, the guy, within months, he doubled his business following the process so I've developed a process called the SMT method, which is based on a 12-step framework. And it's within all of the works I do, it's ingrained in, and it's just now really starting to get some recognition. It was in Times Square up on the big marquee between Christmas and New Year's, and getting magazines and New York Times, things like that. They're starting to pick it up and give it some, give it some fame, I guess, or some notoriety or whatever. But it really is at the core of all this, and it really does bring about change quicker than anything I've ever found. And I have multiple certifications in the works I do. So I've been through a lot of really good programs with it. And the one thing I tell some people, if they say, well, how do I know if this would be for me? If you have an area of your life where you're feeling discontent, if you have an area of your life that you want to get more out of than you're experiencing, there's something in this for you.
Definitely. And I was up there in Times Square about that same time. I probably walked right past the building.
Really?
Yeah. I was up there.
I wish I'd have known that to ask you to give me some pictures because I couldn't make it.
I was looking at all the crazy people walking at me, so I probably missed it. Yeah, we were up there.
That's a crazy time of year to be up there too.
Yeah, that's usually when we plan to go up there because my dad still lives up there. We go up there to see him, and then we go over to the parks and stuff, and then go back to Jersey and head out back here. So
nice
to get out of the craziness, but. Yeah, that I go there all the time, and I hardly ever look up anymore because I'm so used to being there. So it's usually the people who are just visiting there. looking up the
Right,
big buildings and
right,
stuff
right.
to see what's happening above them.
Yes.
That's awesome. It was up there.
Yeah, I was really honored by it.
Hopefully, it got you some traction from the Northeast as well, or actually, you get from there in that area, you get the whole world because the Times Square area is mostly tourists in that area, and then
They pretty much do.
people
Yeah. The only thing I kept an eye on is when they dropped the ball, because I was like, man, how cool would it be if they like showed it like in the background right there? I didn't see it, but man, that would have been awesome.
Maybe if you had Ryan Seacrest on your banner, it would have been there.
Right over his shoulder.
There's Ryan in this right. Oh yeah, so it's like Bad Boys. Yeah, there's a DEA there. They are right there.
That's what I was looking for, Rich.
That's outstanding.
But it's really cool that I really love what I do because I get to help people achieve beyond what they really even think is possible for them. Do it in a shorter period of time. And do so while they get to enjoy the efforts that they're doing and not have to give up life in order to achieve something. You know, so many of us live to where I'm going to kill myself now so I can enjoy it out there somewhere.
Right.
And so often, out there never shows up.
You never make it there, and you just work work at that point. You have to work for something else you have. Yeah. And it's a shame. There's whole generations that have done that. So it's time to change it for everybody. Everyone can get ahead and do things amazingly and have a success without having to say something bad about someone else's business. You can still have your own business and be great.
Absolutely. You know, and even in that, even when, you know, that competitiveness and insulting of other people, all of this is a discontent of I'm not where I want to be.
Right.
You know, and you are where I want to be. So I'm going to, you know, be upset at you.
Exactly. So it's not my problem. It's your problem. Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. We make other people our problem rather than, you know, and there's another avenue for that. So what I found is when we get in our wheelhouse, when we identify what that is and get moving in that direction, man, there's no holding people back.
Exactly.
And it's so exciting to see the breakthroughs and see people achieve that and the excitement of you know, achieving beyond what they even thought that was possible for them in life. So
definitely. And that success breeds success. So once you see that one client A gets that success, client B may have walked in the office or walked in at the same time and sees how happy that person is. I want to be like that.
Yes.
I want that success too. What are you going to do for me? Well, let's sit down and talk and find out where you are today and see what your roadblock is and see if we can break through it, or how do we drive around it to make you that person. So
absolutely. And it doesn't matter whether you're an athlete, whether you're in business, whether you're in real estate, whether you're a parent, whether you're, you know, in community, whether military, it doesn't matter where you are. You know, you don't have to be the golden child or the one with special gifts in order to, you know, really achieve what you want to achieve. You can do it from right where you're at with what you have as a starting point.
You don't have to be 18 years old to make it into early retirement. You can still do it 30, 40, 50 if you want to start at 50 and change life. You can do it. You can do it at any time. Just pump the brakes and then hit the accelerator. That's all you got to do.
Absolutely. Yep. And one of the things, you know, for anybody listening here, I always like to offer my help, my services, however I can and such. And so if this resonates, or even if you think it's BS, you know, and you want to tell me that, I'm okay with that. You know, anybody can go to coachwithjoey.com and schedule a 10-minute call with me and get on and just start getting some tools for yourself that you can, you know, to start moving in that direction. If you feel stuck, if you feel discontent, you feel upset, just give me a call, reach out. I'm not going to charge you anything. We'll have a 10-minute, 15-minute conversation and get you moving in that, get you some tools to move you in that direction.
And after that 10, 15 minutes, if you want to join in, they can join in with you and become the success with you.
If anybody decides they want to, but it's not a sales, I don't even go over the programs on that call. It's truly to serve.
Awesome. That's an awesome thing to give back with and help people find purpose without actually handcuffing them to a program. So that's amazing.
Yes.
Joey, if you can give the audience 3 tips to get out of their own way, what would it be?
I would say the first one is put on a beginner mindset. So often we're conditioned to go through life with everything we know. So often I'll hear from people, I know. And I'll tell them, no, you don't. You know of, but you don't know it until you know it. So instead of having the I know attitude, put on an attitude of I know a lot, but I'm going to see what I can add to what I already know. I'm going to listen for what I can add to. That would be number one. Number two, get a vision of that end point of what it is you want to create, be, do, have, give, create, or experience. Get a vision of what that. And when I say a vision, I mean, what does it look like? And what's it feel like to be at that place? You know, when I'm working with a business owner who's at like $250,000 a year, to get them to $4 million, I got to get them to put that $4 million person on and see what that looks like at $4 million. That's how we get there the quickest. That would be the second one. And then the third one is understand we're not meant to go it alone. You know, you could go out to Everest, fill out the card, put it in the box, and start climbing. But man, think how much more fun you'd have, enjoyable, safe, everything else, having a tour guide who knows what to look out for and everything else along the way. But again, we're conditioned, Rich, that I got to do this alone. And one of the things I love about working with people in the military, around the military, is you understand teamwork. You understand how much stronger each individual is when they're working as a unit in that team. You don't have to go it alone. So if you're trying to go it alone and you find yourself getting frustrated, stop and ask for help. That would be my 3 tips.
All 3 of them are great, and I like all 3 of them a lot, especially the teamwork thing, because it does take a village to be successful. And if you're a leader and you don't surround yourself with smarter people, that's on you. Everyone around you should be smarter than you. That's what I always thought as a leader. If I have a whole platoon of people that are smarter than me, we're going to be the best platoon here. We'll be the smartest, the fastest, quickest, and be through missions as quick as possible and take care of each other. And I think that's the best way to be successful.
Absolutely. Joey,
how does someone get in contact with you if they want to do something other than the 10-minute call?
You can go to ifgtcoach.com. It's freaking gotimecoach.com. And it has all my information. If you want to reach out and contact me, you can do that right there. All social media under Joey Drolshagen or IFGT, you'll find me. So any of the different avenues like that. But ifgtcoach.com. And then, like I said, if you want to have a conversation, just go to coachwithjoey.com and schedule it. And we'll jump on the phone and see if I can help you.
Awesome. And I'll have those links in the show notes when this comes out. So MisFitNation, make sure you get on the phone with Joey and get that 15-minute call and get pumped up and get out there and kick down doors and do what you got to do.
Yeah.
Joey, thanks for coming on and being pumped up tonight. I can't wait to see videos of your hang gliding adventures and see how far you can go with that. This has been amazing. Have a great night.
Absolutely. And you too, Rich. Be blessed, my friend.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks for checking us out and being a part of the Misfit Nation. Don't forget to visit our website at themisfitnation.com. It's themisfitnation.com to catch up on all of our episodes and also to get some of that great Misfit Nation gear. As always, be humble, stay hungry, and keep hustling because we are